welcome everyone to Live with Sara and Tasha. I'm Sara Hodson, the founder and CEO at Live Well Exercise Clinic, joined by my everlasting, never changing, most consistent, most committed, loving Tasha McCrae.
Why, thank you, Sara. I'm Tasha McCrae, and I'm a VP of Brand and Culture here at Live Well. And together, Sara and I are Live Well's original clinical exercise physiologists and health coaches. And we're just delighted that you decided to join us today to talk about fall prevention. And this is an important topic, no matter how old you are, which we'll talk about in just a second. But Sara, might I say that I just don't know if you have a filter on today, but you look beautiful. That maybe didn't come out right. I don't know if you have a filter on, but you look beautiful. You look really lovely.
I understand the sentiment. Don't worry. Don't worry. Thank you.
Love it.
I did a face mask yesterday and I really just feel like it rejuvenated me. That was my SCOA face mask, a plug for SCOA. Maybe we'll get them to sponsor these in the future. But no, it likely is a filter that I'm unaware of.
So let's get chatting about fall prevention. We have lots of people joining us today. So obviously a topic people are excited to hear about. So first, why is it important to be talking about falls? And I think the first thing is, and you've likely heard in clinic this week, is that falls typically happen a lot earlier than many of us anticipate. So it's really around the age of 65, which most of us would not consider, except if we're trying to get a discount at some kind of place, 65 to be very old. And often people who are 65 years old don't really consider themselves to be seniors. But at the age of 65, we do start to see the incidence of falls really increasing. And a few weeks back, Sara and I were talking about bone health, and we talked about a lot of the issues that can happen when we have falls and breaks and fractures. And so if you missed that conversation, please head back and check it out on our YouTube channel. But what we know is that 20 to 30% of seniors are going to fall at least once in a year. And when hospitalized for those falls, the average is spending up to 3 weeks in hospital. And that's pretty significant. So really, really important to be talking about how we can prevent those falls. The other thing is, if you're on this call and you have had a fall before, even if you were not injured in that fall, there are consequences to that. We know if you've already experienced a fall, it predisposes you to a future fall. And, we're really kind of everybody has falls. I took quite a nasty fall a couple of years ago down the stairs, and we'll talk about that when we're in our prevention piece too. So certainly it can happen at any age, but once you've had a fall, the chances of falling increase. And part of that is about the fact that even if you weren't injured, the fear of falling can lead you to start to be a little bit more cautious, to maybe reduce your physical activity level. And that in turn leads to a decline in strength and balance, and then increases your future risk of falls. So it becomes this kind of self-feeding cycle. You fall, you get scared, you stop doing as much, and then it just leads to a spiral of decline. So, obviously, Sara and I, huge proponents of exercise, and exercise is an area that is really, really important in fall prevention. And being active every day is going to be one of the best ways to help you prevent falls. You're going to have stronger leg muscles. We can work on that flexibility. That's really important. And, we think about our legs and hips being strong, but we also need a strong upper body in case we do have a fall. Often we use that upper body to catch ourselves or to help ourselves get up if we have a stumble. So again, Sarah and I talked a few weeks back about how exercise is so important for your bones. And so if you do have a fall, keeping those bones stronger is going to help you prevent fractures or injury from a fall. So that's also really, really important. So if you're on this call and you're thinking, well, I hopped on to listen because, for my parents or, I'm not really worried about my risk of falling. What I want to share with you is the younger that you get active, the better, because that's going to create such a positive thing for your bones. So really get that exercise in and keep it up, because remember, as soon as we stop exercising, we start losing the benefits pretty quick.
And I think of even some of the reaction exercises that, we see our members doing in clinic to really just, sometimes it's about that reaction time, being able to, understand, oh, I was a little unstable when I stepped off that curb, but be able to recalibrate and to get back into balance. And that's really where those exercises are so key. But it's not just necessarily our physical balance when we think of our body and our muscles and so forth. There's other contributors to balance that also happen to diminish or kind of decline as we age. And when we actually think about our balance and how our body goes about balancing itself, it's not just the strength of our muscles, it's actually our peripheral vision, right? And our vestibular hearing. And so when we think about age and some things that unfortunately are commonly attached to aging is our eyesight and our hearing actually declining. And so,
Sarah, I have teenagers that can't hear. You don't have that too?
my teenagers can't hear anything. I'm not sure why. I'm speaking and they're not listening. So I'll be definitely taking them to the doctor. I think they're not listening for other reasons. But absolutely, with aging, we see this decline in our eyesight and our hearing. And so being aware of that and making sure that we are having regular checkups is really important. And because the impact to our hearing and our eyesight happen gradually over time, it's not a moment where all of a sudden we wake up and think, oh my gosh, my vision is so much worse today than it ever was before. You may not notice the degree of how much these things have actually decelerated. So if you do need eyeglasses or hearing aids, ensure that you wear them. Ensure that this is part of your regular checkup for your own self-care and your own medical care. I actually saw a little meme on social media the other day that said, who is the person that ever decided that eyes and ears and teeth aren't just normal parts of my going to my family doctor? Who pulled those sections out and said, no, you're going to go to a different type of a person for that? I just thought that was a little bit humorous, but anyways. And
if anybody's feeling like, I know I heard my parents go, oh, my mother, and love that she probably loves that I share all her stories here. But she didn't want to wear glasses because it just made her feel like, well, it ages me. But, I'm seeing all of the young kids. My niece, who's only 14, is wearing fake glasses, blue light glasses to.
They're very cool.
So I really feel like glasses are hip now. So just put your glasses on and let's move on, right?
There you go.
There you go. I see John put his on too. Good. All the cool kids are wearing glasses.
Totally right. Another thing that we have to consider is the side effects of our medications, because sometimes our medications can make us feel drowsy or dizzy. And so if you know that your medication, check the side effects, and know how your body is responding. And if you feel a little bit more drowsy and dizzy, adjust your activity so that you are participating safely. Because as Tasha spoke about, when we just even have that little bit of a stumble, we decrease our confidence, we become a little bit more conservative in our activity. And if we fall, that even kind of speeds up the vicious cycle of inactivity, and that feeling of, if I stand and move, there is a risk, therefore I shall sit. And we really want to prevent that. And keep in mind that sometimes, our risk of falling through drowsiness and dizziness is often tripping over our own feet. So it's not necessarily stepping off a step or stepping over something or into something or out of something. It simply is flat ground and somewhat stumbling on our own feet. And I think we've all experienced that, where you kind of scuff the ground and kind of need to catch yourself, right? Again, that's the value of the exercises that you're doing within your Live Well Exercise Clinic program, to help you to readjust in those moments. And we, can all, I think, attest to and have a sense of reality that some of the age-related health changes that we experience are things that can maybe be hard for us to accept and to speak about and to communicate about, and to people maybe struggle or hesitant to use walkers or canes or grab bars, or you name it, because we really want to maintain our independence. We want to maintain our pride. And I think that the more that we can have really open and honest conversations about our hearing, our vision, our balance, our confidence to move our own bodies, ultimately, again, this is all about safety. And if we can keep ourselves balanced and safe, we maintain our confidence, and you will actually maintain your activity. Even though your activity may have to change, you may have to choose safer, more appropriate activities, you can maintain that. But once we get into the psychological cycle of, I'm a little bit scared, now I've tripped, now I'm a little bit more scared, now I'm less active, now I'm not as strong, now I've tripped a little bit more, you can see how the downward spiral happens.
For sure. Okay. Sorry, I was thinking about a lady that I saw as you were talking, Sarah. There was a lady, I went for a walk the other day, and she was walking and she had a cane with her, and a family, or a man on a bike, and was towing his daughter. And he said she was out there walking with her cane, and it was a forested area. And he said to her, "Isn't that cool that she's out there doing that, even though she needed the cane?" And anyway, I got lost in thinking about my forest walk with that lady. So the last thing we really wanted to look at today, there's the physical, like how you are, but also, of course, the environment can affect your fall risk. And whether it's your home that for yourself, or whether you need to look at your home because people that frequently come to your home are at risk potentially from something going on in your home. I can think of, we did a renovation many years back, where we ended up taking the handrail off of our staircase. And, we didn't really felt we needed it. And it wasn't until I saw my grandpa come by and I saw him navigating up the stairs going, oh my goodness, that is an essential safety item. We can't have anybody, over the age of 30 here if we don't get that installed ASAP. So what are those things around your house that you should keep an eye out, either for yourself or for others? And, one of the places that we see a lot of falls is the bathroom. And of course, you put the addition of water and wet feet, and it can be a problem. So thinking about, a non-slip surface in your tub or your shower, you can easily pick them up at the drugstore, or, there are strips that you can put that are a little bit more permanent. If you're struggling to get out of the bathtub or off of the toilet, there might be some help that can come through having a grab bar. And I know people often say, well, it's not that aesthetically pleasing, but really, I think there are a lot of options available these days that are a little bit more appealing, and there's really nothing more aesthetically appealing than you being able to move around and live independently. So, we find that balance. In your living areas, consider your lighting throughout the house. We have all sorts of great options now. There are motion activated night lights. You can have a bedside lamp that you turn on right beside your bed, because often it's getting up in the middle of the night and making your way to the washroom or something like that, where the vision isn't as good at night, and then we see falls happen there.
Does anybody still use the clapper? Remember that clapper?
Can you still get those?
Oh, I don't know, but I'm going to look those up now that I've remembered, where you clap it on and clap it off.
I don't know, Sarah. I think now people just say, hey, Google, or hey,
That's
Alexa,
true.
turn my lights on, something like that.
It's true.
But looking for other obstacles, area rugs and scatter mats that you might have can be a tripping hazard. Your foot doesn't pick up quite enough and you just kind of catch it and then you're stumbling. So think about whether those are really essential to your decor, and check them. Are the corners lifting? Is this something that you could potentially trip over? Obviously ensure they're non-slip, that you got something under them if you do decide to keep them. And, just obviously give yourself clear walking paths, so that you don't have to kind of navigate around the little coffee table and this and that. Make it relatively easy to get to your chair or whatever it may be. I talked about the handrails already, both sides of the staircase if possible. And then I already told you about my fall down the stairs a while back. I was just rushing and in socks on hardwood floors. So, consider wearing a slipper that has a little bit of a grip. Or if you're going, or now they even have those little socks that have, does anyone else have these socks with the little grips on the bottom? They're not just for infants and toddlers. They do make adult versions. Yoga socks, type things. Mm-hmm. So, being careful of that. And sometimes it's just about being mindful, right? You're rushing, your head's in another spot. I was flying down the stairs and took a fall. My other bad fall in my life, I ran out of the shower trying to grab the phone. I don't recommend that one either. It's what my husband referred to as ugly naked, when you're sprawled out on the floor and you've hit your head, all because you didn't want to let the answering machine pick up the phone.
That was coined by Seinfeld, actually, ugly naked.
Was it?
Oh, yes, it was. Yeah.
I thought he was so clever. Tonight. So, and then in the kitchen, anybody else ever, maybe you're not 5'3" like myself, but anybody else have to climb up on the counter to reach some of your high cupboards? No, just, I see. Oh, you tall people. For those of us who do, short people unite, make sure that you have a good solid step stool. They do make one that has kind of a little safety rail with it. As we're teetering up, reaching maybe for something heavy that you don't use often, like your Dutch oven, it's easy to fall backwards and have an issue there. So storing those heavier items in lower cupboards is just a good idea for those of us who are more vertically challenged. But think about it as you go through your house. Are there small changes that you could make that would reduce that risk for you?
And also maybe think about what are the things that you are doing that you struggle with, where your balance is maybe put at risk. If it is getting in and out of the tub, if it is, doing certain activities, and bring that to the clinic and let us know, because you'd be surprised at the creative exercises that we can put into your program to help you. And it reminds me of a member many years ago who Tasha and I got an email from her husband, and he said, I went on the first business trip where I actually was able to sleep at night and feel confident with my wife staying home, because she can now get out of the bathtub on her own and doesn't need my support to do that, because of the exercises that she's doing at Live Well. She has gained not only the strength, but the confidence that she can get out of the bath. And he was saying, thank you so much for that. So sometimes just identifying what are the activities we struggle with, allowing us to support you in the clinic to overcome that. And sometimes it impacts your life and the lives of people around you. And so those are our tips to help to keep you on your feet and to live well. Thank you so much for joining us today on Sara and Tasha Live. We wish you sweat and smiles all week long. Thanks for joining us.